sometimes you feel better about it and you hit a peak and you're like, I'm going to work on this, I'm going to affirm. But sometimes it feels really low and you hit a valley and you think it's impossible. Maybe that up and down motion isn't pushing you as far back as you think. The nature of a wave is constant motion. The only constant is change. Maybe if what you do is focus on where you are, like riding any wave, if you focus on where you are right now and just handle it in whatever is the healthiest way, the safest and healthiest way, maybe that's part of how we ultimately get out of the harsh waves and eventually land back in calm waters. Because some of these manifestations, huge ones, like not having friends, I'm pretty sure I have a video up right now. I think I've posted it and I don't think I've privated it, but it's about me not having friends for 25 years. And yeah, those two things, the depression and the stuff that led to the depression, are very much connected with why I didn't have friends for 25 years. After that amount of time in my life, I didn't think that at 36 years of age, I was going to have some of my truest and best friendships and relationships form. I completely believed it was impossible at that point. I didn't want to believe that. But on daily function, I believed I can't have this. And I longed for it. I longed so deeply for some kind of true love that was reciprocal. But I didn't believe it. And it still happened. I met a friend who had so much to do with everything beautiful happening in my life just by being who this person is. They helped as an important part of my process and the things happening in my life. They were an incredibly important part and a step. They held the key to huge positive change coming and me learning new things about myself. It helped me open up my heart so that I could accept some forms of love, and then I could move forward and even accept more and different ones and even greater ones. And it's been an amazing journey. But what I'm thinking about right now is, this is part of why I'm talking about this. All of this stuff came out of me thinking the entire time, going up and down, doing my affirmations when I was at the peak, and then when I was in the valley thinking, I don't even know why I'm doing this. It doesn't feel real. I don't think it's possible. Playing back, I had the memories. I would have my moments where I just fell apart because I was so emotional. I had the need, but it wasn't fulfilled. That wore on me. I had a lot of meltdowns because I was so overwhelmed in so many ways by so many things in so many days, and I just couldn't remain calm. So I would have those strong feelings and I would have those actual meltdowns about what was going on in my life and the things that I lacked that I needed. And in those moments, the meltdown moments, I was at definitely my lowest as far as having any kind of belief that anything was possible to change. Those were the moments when I felt like I failed at consistency. None of the methods are working. I just don't have what it takes. And it happened anyway. So I'm reminding myself of this. That stuff felt impossible, off and on, throughout my entire process. But now that it's come, it doesn't feel impossible anymore. It doesn't feel like it was huge. I don't even think of it based on its size anymore. Now it's just a part of my life. It's just like the sky is blue. I don't spend a lot of time trying to manifest a blue sky the next morning because I'm so accustomed to the fact that the sky is blue and has been blue. Its past behavior is its greatest indicator of its future behavior. I expect it to be blue. I'm now just accustomed to people loving me and people who can love me for who I am. And so now that part of my life has changed. I'm still working on a lot of other things, but when it comes down to it, there is some proof, and I've been missing some proof. I don't need to be traditionally consistent in order to get things done. Big things have changed, little things have changed. Honestly, it seems like I manifest food like wild without even having to think about it or process it. The other day, I had a passing thought about a snack I'd like to have. It's a type of cookie that had been discontinued. The company doesn't make it anymore. And the next thing you know, somebody just decided to pick up a package of, it's that same type of cookie, but it's from another company. Now, unfortunately, the discontinued one is better in literally every way. There were these dark cocoa pre-made cookies in a package, and I really love to have them because for some reason the ones that were discontinued taste just like the homemade hot cocoa I make for myself from actual cocoa and spices. Not just like it, because I do put a lot of extra spices in, but it tastes so much like it, it's ridiculous. So I just would love to get that cookie and make my cocoa and just sit there and lavish myself with delicious chocolatiness and cocoa-y wonder. Then they discontinued the cookie. I just had a passing thought, I would really like that, I miss that, I wonder if I could have it. And then all of a sudden, it's still discontinued, but the knockoff version of it came. And I kind of ate those too anyway, but they're not as good as the original, so I kind of decided in my mind, okay, that's it. I'm not going to try to manifest any more of these cookies. And incidentally, no more of them have come because I'm just not interested in them anymore. But I've noticed that some of the stuff, it just happens so quickly. Consistency doesn't even have to play in. Because once you believe like that, I have basically zero belief that I can't have a cookie or that I can't have a pizza all of a sudden. I've sometimes had passing thoughts about pizzas, and the next thing you know, I'm awash in pizzas being bought ridiculously often, to the point where, again, I start thinking, okay, that's it. I don't actually want any more now. Thanks. That was nice that I'm done. So when it comes down to it, not only is there some proof in my personal life that you don't have to be consistent about any particular manifestation, but there's also some proof that you don't have to believe that it's even possible while you're doing it. And on top of that, I'm realizing, importantly, I'm hitting a million thoughts in this video and I tried really hard not to. I'm realizing very importantly that the fact that I kept at it just on this last 4.5 year track, that was me being consistent. It, especially at the beginning, coming from a lot of stuff, I wasn't doing it every day. Sometimes I might forget for a week. I was focusing on a lot of different stuff because I wanted a lot of different stuff in my life to change. I did try to narrow it down to maybe the top 2 or 3 because I know that my brain will eventually forget all the extra details and all the extra information, so it's easier for me if I narrow it down a little bit. But over that time frame, I wasn't even consistently narrowing it down to the same 2 or 3 things. I would try to stick with a handful of things for, I don't know, a reasonable time frame, at least a week, or maybe a few weeks, and even that changed up, and I still see huge differences changing in my life. Huge differences and small ones. I'm seeing things moving, and I just need to 100% wrap up this point now before I get into a million personal examples of what I'm seeing. The thing that I stated at the end, so I could hopefully remember to say this before the video is off, is either way, number 1, your consistent attempts count. If they're coming in the form of a wave and they look different, somebody else wants you to just stay on a steady road, a steady plane, and go across it. It's sometimes just different for our brains. Like ADHD brain, sometimes we can just forget, or something else gets our interest. You know, pretty flashing light, much more interesting than this dim light over here that's not even on and has nothing to focus on. I get interested in a pretty flashing light. I see something sparkly, as they call it, but seriously, whatever it is that's getting my attention, and that's the new fascinating, engaging thing, I just get distracted by that. Autists and ADHDers are very well known for the executive functioning thing. There could be differences, there could be issues. Sometimes you're just thinking about it and you really want to do it. I could decide I'm going to affirm, and for whatever reason in that moment, I just seem to be unable to do it. I just can't seem to start. But that's in that one moment. In another moment, the affirmation might be the thing that catches my attention, that's bright and sparkly. That might be the thing that's engaging and fascinating. Something might suddenly remind me, and then it starts me. It counts. Your form of consistency counts. Point 2, you are building a habit with your new thoughts. Because if you keep on saying them, that I think I said this already, but even if it's something negative that someone else is bringing to you over time, it can build up those new thoughts. You can develop a complex. It works the same way for positive thoughts. If someone over time gives you positive things, you can develop positive feelings. You can do it with yourself, because like I said, you are with you at all times. So you are in the apt position to be the one to deliver the new thoughts and create the new habits, if you are mindful of the fact that you can do it. So whatever it is that you're doing repeatedly, even if it's over a long time frame, hopefully, if you can keep coming back to it, it's going to be building some type of a habit, even if that habit is not a daily one, even if it's every few days, or even if you forget for a week or a few weeks. You're building a habit. And point number 3, your new thoughts are taking root, or they're going to take root, because it's just, I don't want to get into it. I'm going to get off on another tangent. The way the brain works tends to be, you give it more information and something takes root. It's kind of the way everything works, really. If something is in a certain place, I wrote this down very simplistically somewhere on this page. I was saying that the point with that is, the more something accumulates, the more it's going to take hold or take root. Whether this is something like a plant, kudzu, quite famously, accumulated and kept taking root and taking over. Whether it's something like an allergic reaction, if there's something going on in your body and you're reacting to something in a certain way, the more it gets in there, the more it takes hold, the more it starts to have its effects. I'm hoping for something with a positive effect, but that's what I wrote down, allergic reaction. And if it's a bumper crop of new thoughts, if you just keep throwing new positive things at yourself, I don't know, maybe it's possible that if you have a million disparate positive thoughts that aren't on similar subjects, your brain is just going to recognize, well, wow, this person is just thinking a whole lot of positive stuff and stuff that feels good and stuff that's just nice. So I guess overall, I'm just going to draw the conclusion that this person is wanting really positive, nice stuff that feels good. And there's no one thing that they're thinking about, but I'm just noticing that whatever they are thinking about, it all seems to have the pattern of being positive. Who knows? Maybe that's part of how it works, because it sure seems like in my life, where I've had all these different occasions and thought all of these different thoughts and up and down, on all these different subjects, overall what I was doing was thinking consistently positive thoughts. I wrote down that even if it's happening slowly, like little messages here or there, building up, hopefully, slowly but surely, cumulatively building up in your brain. Even if it's happening slowly, you're affirming once every day or every few days. Even if it's happening on a completely different time frame altogether, like let's say that you affirm nonstop for 2 days, and then you end up distracted from it for a week, or you're just exhausted and dealing with something else and you can't get there for a week. What if it's the reverse? What if you are affirming and you're doing it pretty consistently for a week, and then you just have a couple of days where, for whatever reason, you can't do it? You could just constantly be having different irregular time frames of affirming and then not affirming, affirming and then not affirming, but overall you are consistently affirming. The hope is that you are going to get to a place where you have more positive thoughts, more positive intentional affirmations, because those will keep growing, keep proliferating. Like the kudzu, the more of it there is, the more of it there will be. But even if that's the case, it's all, in my experience, in my personal experience, and this is why I want to encourage that it could be true for you too, it's all cumulative. Because this is what has been working in my life. I've never been able to stick with one method or with one time frame, and I've never been able to do anything daily, but I've still been getting stuff done. And ultimately, when I'm not just going through a huge hecking horror of hideosity, and I think that's my word that I made up, hideosity, 100%, to my awareness, I made that up. But even just no matter what, in the moments like the one I'm having right now, where I'm able to think with clarity and nothing is triggering me, I'm realizing that I have been doing it the whole time. And no one can take that away from me because it's already in the past. It's already happened. I've already learned that lesson. No one can come in and tell me that I failed at everything I was going for because I was too lazy, or I was rebellious and I wasn't doing it correctly, or I didn't use the exact method that they told me I had to use, because I've already just had that time frame to test. It's very important to test something that is safe, that is healthy, and see what actually happens. For me, it's important, and I've had that time frame, and I've seen I can do it my way. I can do it in a way that is tenable, because the important thing is no one else's methods and no one else's suggestions were tenable for me. They were untenable. They were impossible. I could not. It wasn't about me choosing not to. It was about me being unable to do it. So that was very discouraging. But guess what? I tested my safe, happy methods. I let my brain do what it does, and I found out that it can work, even if your level of consistency looks completely disjointed to everybody else. It might look disjointed to you right now, but it's still, overall, if you're peaking and valleying, you're still consistently peaking and valleying. The waves are continuing on, and it all counts, and that's my main point. If you've got any thoughts, if you had any experiences like this, leave them in the comments. Like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and share the video if you got any use, if you think anyone else will, and all of this stuff. If you want to do something that helps me, helps my station, and helps my point get across so I can continue to make these videos, that stuff really does help my channel. So do all that if you please. And that's about it. Bye now.